How's it going, everyone, and welcome to your third Java tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be going over loops. So we're going to be going over while loops and for loops. So what are loops? So loops are pieces of code that gets executed several times depending on some condition. So let's see this in action. We'll start off with while loops. So basically the logic behind a while loop is that while some condition is met, you do something. So let's say we have a variable called int count is equal to 5. So this is going to be our condition. As long as count is greater than or equal to 0, it's going to print out some message. So when you're making a while loop, you have to write the word while and then brackets and curly braces. So in the bracket you have the condition, and in the curly braces you have the code that you're going to execute depending on this condition. So as long as that's met, you're going to do something. So while count is greater than or equal to 0, we're going to write hello world. And now I have a question for you guys. How many times is this going to run? So how many times is this loop going to execute? If you said infinitely, you're right. It's going to keep on going until we hit stop. So let's see why that happens. So as you can see, it just keeps on printing hello world. So we're going to stop that and get rid of all that. So the reason why this is an infinite loop is because we never change the value of count. It's always greater than or equal to 5. So this is an infinite loop. So the way we fix this is by decreasing the value of count. And we do that by writing the variable name with 2 dashes, or the, this is known as a decrementer. And it literally just decreases the value of count by 1 every single time this executes. So if we do this, it's going to print hello world 6 times. So here, hello world, and it gets printed 6 times. So what exactly is happening? Let's run through this code. So we initialized count as 5. Alright, that's perfect. That's good. And now the while loop says, while count is greater than or equal to 0, you're going to write you're going to write hello world, and then you're going to decrease count by 1. So it goes to the top, and now count is equal to 4, because 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 is greater than or equal to 0, so it prints out hello world again. So you can see how this just keeps on looping through, hence why it's called loop. Or in other words, it's called iterating, meaning looping. So it just keeps on doing that until it gets to 0, and it prints it out one more time. That's why we have the 6th hello world right here. And then 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So now, negative 1 is no longer greater than or equal to 0. It's less than 0. So it doesn't print this out. So it goes straight out of the loop, and it ends the code, or it ends the program. Now, we also have for loops. A for loop is a bit different. You can specify how many times the code will execute, because we initialize some variable, we have some condition that needs to be met, and then we change the original variable that we initialized. So let's see this in action. So for loop, this is how you write it. So again, you have a whole bunch of stuff in the brackets here, and then some code that you want to execute. So instead of declaring a variable at the very top, we're going to declare a variable explicitly in here. So a for loop consists of 3 parts. So you have the initialization part. So we're going to name int I is equal to 0. And we're going to have a condition, which is the second part of the for loop. And while this condition is met, we're going to go through this for loop. So let's say, for example, we want this to execute 5 times. Well, since we started at 0, it's going to get kind of confusing. So we're going to start at 1, and it's going to go to as long as I is less than or equal to 5. Now we have to change we're going to have to do something with this I so that this, of course, isn't met at one point. Or else, again, it's going to be an infinite loop. So we're going to increase I. So all we have to do is write I++, and that just increases I by 1 every single time. And then we're going to have some code. So as long as I is less than or equal to 5, we're just going to increment, and this just specifies how many times we want to do, how many times we want this code to execute. So here, it prints it out 5 times. So again, what's happening? Well, we initialize I is equal to 1, and then it sees that, okay, I is less than or equal to 5. This is true. So we're going to increase it by 1 and print this out. It goes back to the top, and then it adds 1 to I, and now I is 2. 2 is less than or equal to 5, and this is true, so it prints out hello world again. So that's the second time. It keeps on doing that. Oh my goodness. So it keeps on doing that, and it goes until 5, and 5 is less than or equal to 5, that's true. And once it hits the 6th time, since 5 plus 1 is 6, it no longer prints it out again, and so it just exits the for loop. Loops are an absolute must when it comes to programming. Whether you're programming in Python or Java, this is a concept that you must understand. A lot of technical coding interview questions revolve around loops, and loops do get kind of messy in the future because you have nested loops, so you have a for loop inside of a for loop, and that itself is very, very useful. And we will cover questions as to why we would need a nested for loop, but this is something that you must master because it's a concept that will almost definitely come up in a coding interview question. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and leave a like and a comment, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Thank you.